Hello and welcome to the Bot Box. We're going to be here a bit longer than last week. For one thing, there's quite a few variants of Judge Shred to go through. For another thing, there's quite a few fights to go through. Though, not the longest amount. The first variant of Judge Shred was a red boxy robot armed with two pincers that could lift things at one end and a spiked axe at the other. It made its debut in Series 3 Robot Wars, landing in Heat K, where it first faced overhead puncher rammer Mr. Punch. Judge Shred lifted Mr. Punch early on and backed off whilst Mr. Punch tried to attack. It wasn't long before Judge Shred picked up and pushed Mr. Punch most of the way to the flame pit. Mr. Punch drove the rest of the way to the flame pit before getting out of there, which was a sensible thing for Mr. Punch to do, so Judge Shred elected to send Mr. Punch either back to the flame pit or to shunt. The latter was what ended up happening, causing Mr. Punch to end up with some house robot-induced holes. Shunt has an axe and isn't afraid to use it. Before Judge Shred dragged Mr. Punch out of there via the flame pit and shoved Mr. Punch into a wall before a pushing war ensued, one that Mr. Punch actually won. Judge Shred pushed Mr. Punch one last time before time ran out and the judges called in. The judges ruled in favour of Judge Shred. Next up was Axebot Exterminator. Exterminator caught and axed Judge Shred very quickly. Judge Shred tried to use the pincers to keep Exterminator away, but Exterminator sent Judge Shred most of the way into the pit, as in only the pincers were really sticking out. Judge Shred tried to get out, which, that's a lost cause, especially when Matilda and Sir Kill-Lot attacked to make sure that Judge Shred stayed in the pit. So, that was them out. Judge Shred returned for Series 4 as Judge Shred 2, a silver-coloured flatter box armed with a flipper and an axe. It landed in Heat N and drew Walking Lifter Spinner Millennium Bug and Exterminator 2, still an Axebot, through the 22nd. Also, Judge Shred 2's team were dressed as judges, and that costume would remain for the rest of their run. Judge Shred 2 had elected to stay away from Exterminator 2, but alas, the 22nd seats didn't stay away from them, axing Judge Shred 2 and shoving it into a wall. Judge Shred 2 still axed Exterminator whilst being shoved, and got out, chasing Exterminator 2. Pro tip, Exterminator 2, fast bot, can't win that one. Before going after Millennium Bug and removed a tiny bit of leg armour. Indeed, Exterminator 2 tried to help out Judge Shred 2, but they just ended up trading axe blows. That wasn't in the plan, was it? They did so twice, and Exterminator 2 shoved Judge Shred 2 into a wall again before, Judge Shred 2 and Exterminator 2 teamed up to attack Millennium Bug. Indeed, Judge Shred 2 was the one to flip Millennium Bug over. Judge Shred 2 then annoyed Exterminator 2 and had to do something whilst house robots were busy with their Millennium Bug before cease was called. Next up for Judge Shred 2 was 6th seeded Bulldozer Behemoth. Judge Shred 2 sent Behemoth to dead metal early on, but Behemoth escaped, pushed and flipped Judge Shred 2. Judge Shred 2 failed to self-right, got surrounded by house robots and eventually pitted. At least Craig Charles got to try on one of the judges' wigs. Fun times, fun times. Judge Shred returned for the first series of Robot Wars Extreme as Judge Shred 2.5. A flat silver-coloured dome with a flipper, and appeared in the Mayhem, qualified for the Annihilator, facing Flipper's Bulldog Breed 3 and Spirit of Knightmare. Yeah, I know it's pronounced Nightmare, but gotta make sure that the subtitles don't mess around. Spirit of Nightmare tried to flip Judge Shred 2.5 but missed, so Judge Shred 2.5 went after Bulldog Breed 3 instead. Not that it worked. Judge Shred 2.5 got sent to an angle grinder, escaped, tried to get after Bulldog Breed 3 again, and missed. Bulldog Breed 3 flipped Judge Shred 2.5, which failed self-right, got counted out, axed, and pitted. Interestingly enough, out of the 3 robots in that mayhem, Judge Shred was the only one that did not end up linked in any way to the Annihilator. Bulldog Breed qualified but had to withdraw, and Spirit of Nightmare actually fought in the Annihilator. Judge Shred 2.5 did not qualify for Series 5, but it did get into Series 6 where it landed in Heat G and drew Hammerbot, Grabber, Thor. It was the early days of Thor. Walking Flipper, Axebot, Anarchy, and Vertical Spinner, Revolution 2. Revolution 2 immediately hit Judge Shred 2.5 with its massive vertical spinner. I mean massive. It was practically a combine harvester. And pushed Judge Shred 2.5 around the arena. Anarchy showed up and tried to axe Judge Shred 2.5, but Judge Shred 2.5 flicked Anarchy to keep it away. Judge Shred 2.5 also kept Anarchy away from Revolution 2. Well, that was nice of them. That was when Thor showed up and hammered Judge Shred 2.5. Revolution 2 got free, Anarchy joined in with a hammering of Judge Shred 2.5, and then they both backed off. Revolution 2 attacked again, and Thor returned. Once again, Judge Shred 2.5 flicked Thor, not Anarchy though, to try and keep it away. But this time the tactic didn't work. Probably because Thor had a longer hammer thing. Judge Shred 2.5 then got flicked by Anarchy, pushed around, causing Thor to miss with its hammer. But when Thor showed up, Judge Shred 2.5 was able to flick it. Revolution 2 sent Judge Shred 2.5 into a wall, which put the spinner in more trouble than the flipper. Revolution 2 ended up with the house robots. Anarchy did flip Judge Shred 2.5 over, which didn't exactly improve things for Judge Shred. Judge Shred 2.5 did manage to self-right though. But as soon as it got back on its wheels, it got hammered by Thor until Judge Shred 2.5 escaped and pushed Revolution 2, which kind of drove off and died. Judge Shred 2.5 flicked Thor and was on the attack when time ran out and the judges were called in. But it was too late, so they ruled in favour of Anarchy and Thor. Judge Shred 2.5 was also in the England vs Germany special. Basically, on one side of the door there will be English robots, and the other side of the door there will be German and the odd Dutch robot. Das Gepäck, anyone? So, Judge Shred 2.5 did not actually face a German robot in the first round. It faced Vertical Spinner 259, which I am yet to get, despite episodes 259 having happened literal years ago. I'm just saying, I wanted 259 for episode 259, and now it's late. Judge Shred 2.5 flicked 259 early on and regretted it immediately, as 259 delivered hit after hit, the first one mangling Judge Shred 2.5's flipper. Judge Shred 2.5 was barely alive after the first barrage. A second barrage quickly followed, and after that, both the robots died within seconds of each other. Judge Shred 2.5 was counted out, dragged along the floor by Growler, flew air, floor flippered, and pitted. 259 avoided that unpleasant fate by lasting a couple of seconds longer than Judge Shred 2.5. Judge Shred 2.5 returned for Series 7 as, finally, Judge Shred 3! Judge Shred 3 landed in Heat L, where it drew Horizontal Spinner Demolition Man, Full Body Spinner Corkscrew 2, and Front Hinged Flipper Mute. Also, the judges now had yellow lensed glasses. Most of them didn't make the arena. Judge Shred 3 was out of focus early on, but made Corkscrew its target and flipped it over twice. A third flip eventually followed for Judge Shred 3 Flip Demolition Man, which has been a non-factor, and left it to mute. When Judge Shred 3 Corkscrew, they flipped Corkscrew one last time, hastened Italy out of the arena. Judge Shred 3 also teamed up with Dead Metal to pick Demolition Man. Unusual tag team. Next up was Front Hinged Flipper UFO. The two bots got off to a tentative start, neither quite managing to land a blow on the other, until Judge Shred 3 finally managed to flip UFO. The UFO self-righted, but Judge Shred 3 managed to tried to flip UFO out of the arena, but failed. So UFO tried to do the same for them, but also failed. It's no firestorm, UFO. UFO pushed Judge Shred 3, but Judge Shred 3 escaped and flipped UFO onto its side from where it could not self-right. It got counted out, carried around, cooked, pitted. And Craig Charles got to wear a judge's wig again! So, that put Judge Shred through to the final for the first time. There it faced Mute. The two bots danced around each other early on, each trying to land a flip but not quite being able to do so. Well, that is, until Judge Shred 3 managed to flip Mute multiple times. It took a few attempts for Mute to self-right, but it did each time, eventually. It just ended up doing several somersaults before it did land on its wheels. Then Mute managed to get a flip in on Judge 3, which rolled Judge 3 along its side until it landed on its wheels. So kill a lot open the pit because, reasons. Meanwhile, Judge Shred 3 was barely moving. If they hit the flip, must have done something or power was running out. It's hard to tell. But they did manage to get one last flip in before time ran out and the judges were called in. The judges ruled in favour of Mute. Judge Shred in return, it was Series 7, there wasn't another series for 12 years, there were a lot of robots from Series 7 that never returned. Judge Shred came a long way from the pincerbot it was in Series 3 of Robot Wars, and the team can count themselves unlucky not to have made the Series semi-final. They probably wouldn't have got much further. Mute didn't, it went out in the very next round to Firestorm. Also, one has to appreciate the judges' outfits, including the wigs, of course. When one calls one's robot Judge Shred, one has to dress for the part, and they absolutely did. And their robot did improve over time. Like I said, it came a long way. Yeah, it still never made it out of the heats. It does have an unfortunate statistic attached to it, being the only robot with a negative win-loss ratio to register an out of the arena flip. Whoops. But it got one! So, who's next? Taiki, please be kind. Thor. Well, it's hammer time! Until next week, Carlson244, out.